Can you imagine trying to send or receive money internationally and feeling like you're navigating a maze blindfolded? You're not alone. For millions of people, especially those who bank with newer, digital-first institutions, the question of international money transfers, specifically wire transfers, can be a real head-scratcher. And if you're a Monzo user, or considering becoming one, you've likely pondered this very question: can Monzo actually receive wire transfers? It seems like a simple yes or no, right? But the world of international finance is anything but straightforward. Traditional wire transfers, with their SWIFT codes and intermediary banks, can feel like relics of a bygone era in our increasingly digital world. Meanwhile, newer banks like Monzo have built their reputation on streamlined, user-friendly experiences, often leveraging different technologies for moving money. So, where does that leave us when it comes to the seemingly old-school method of wire transfers? Before we dive into the specifics of Monzo and wire transfers, let's take a step back and understand why this question is so important. Whether you're expecting a payment from overseas for freelance work, receiving funds from family living abroad, or perhaps even dealing with international business transactions, the ability to receive money across borders efficiently and reliably is crucial. Traditional banks have long been the go-to for these kinds of transfers, but their fees and processes can sometimes be opaque and, frankly, a bit painful. This is where the appeal of challenger banks like Monzo comes in. They often promise lower fees, more transparent processes, and a mobile-first approach that fits seamlessly into our modern lives. But their infrastructure and partnerships might differ from traditional brick-and-mortar institutions, which can impact their ability to handle certain types of transactions, including receiving wire transfers. Now, you might be thinking, why not just use a money transfer service like Wise, formerly TransferWise, or Remitly? And that's a valid point. These services have indeed revolutionized international money transfers, often offering better exchange rates and lower fees than traditional banks. However, there are still situations where a wire transfer might be the preferred or even the only option. For example, some institutions or businesses might only process payments via wire transfer. Or perhaps the sender is more comfortable with the familiarity of a traditional wire transfer. So, back to our central question: can Monzo, in the year 2025, receive wire transfers? The answer, as with many things in the financial world, isn't a simple yes or no. As of my last update, Monzo does not directly support receiving international wire transfers. This means you cannot provide someone with your Monzo account details and expect them to send you money via a standard SWIFT wire transfer from an overseas bank. I know, that might be disappointing news for some of you. You might be wondering, why not? They're a bank, aren't they? And you're right, Monzo is a fully licensed bank in the UK. However, their current infrastructure isn't set up to directly process incoming SWIFT payments. Let's delve a little deeper into why this might be the case. Traditional wire transfers rely on the SWIFT network, a global system that allows banks to securely communicate with each other about financial transactions. Participating in this network involves significant infrastructure and agreements between financial institutions. While Monzo is connected to various payment systems, their focus has largely been on building a modern, efficient system for domestic and certain types of international transfers through partnerships rather than directly integrating with the SWIFT network for incoming payments. Now, before you click away in frustration, it's important to understand the nuances and potential workarounds. While Monzo doesn't directly receive international wire transfers, the situation might be slightly different for domestic wire transfers within the UK, if they even support receiving those, and it's worth checking their latest official information on that front as well. However, the core of our question revolves around receiving money from outside the UK. So, if someone needs to send you money internationally and a wire transfer seems like the only option from their end, what can you do if you primarily use Monzo? Here are a few potential strategies and things to consider. 1. Utilize a third-party money transfer service. As mentioned earlier, services like Wise, Remitly, WorldRemit, and others are designed specifically for international money transfers. The sender can often initiate a transfer through these platforms, and the service will then handle the complexities of converting the currency and sending the funds to you, sometimes even as a local transfer to your Monzo account. This often bypasses the need for a traditional wire transfer directly to Monzo. 2. Maintain a traditional bank account. If you frequently receive international payments via wire transfer, it might be prudent to keep a basic account with a traditional bank that does support receiving these types of transfers. You can then receive the funds in that account and potentially transfer them to your Monzo account afterwards, although be mindful of any fees associated with both the incoming wire transfer and the subsequent transfer to Monzo. 3. Explore alternative payment methods. Depending on the sender and the context of the payment, there might be alternative methods available. For instance, if it's a payment for freelance work, could they use a platform like PayPal or Payoneer, which might offer more direct integration with Monzo or easier withdrawal options? It's always worth discussing the sender's preferred methods and seeing if there's a mutually convenient alternative to a traditional wire transfer. 4. Keep an eye on Monzo's updates. The financial technology landscape is constantly evolving. Monzo, like other challenger banks, is known for its agile development and frequent updates to its services. While they don't currently support receiving international wire transfers directly, this could potentially change in the future as they expand their offerings and cater to a wider range of user needs. It's always a good idea to check Monzo's official website, help documentation, and community forums for the latest information on their services. 5. Understand the sender's limitations. Sometimes, the sender might be restricted in how they can send money due to their own bank's policies or the nature of the payment. In such cases, understanding their limitations can help you explore the most feasible solutions together. It's also important to distinguish between sending and receiving wire transfers. While Monzo might not allow you to receive international wire transfers directly, they do often facilitate international money transfers outwards through partnerships with services like Wise. This means you can typically send money internationally from your Monzo account, often with competitive exchange rates and lower fees compared to traditional banks. This functionality, however, doesn't automatically translate to the ability to receive incoming wire transfers. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.